Joining us now is Cheryl Lindquist, Executive Director of RISE, to share how they're walking alongside families through some of life's most challenging moments. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl, for being here. We're so grateful for that.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Well, RISE Support Center has been helping women for over 30 years. Can you tell us sort of how it started and how you help families and women navigate unplanned pregnancies?
Yeah, so to sum it up real quick, we believe that no one should have to face the unexpected alone. Oftentimes, women are coming to us, and it's about more than just the unintended pregnancy. There are significant things happening in their life that are making something that could be manageable into something that's distressing. And so we are able to step in and help them kind of navigate their options. We're a safe place for them to talk about what's going on, to explore some options, to learn about how to make a healthy, informed decision. And then we're able to support them whatever comes next. We really want our clients to feel safe, valued, and cared for, no matter what they're going through. And then we'll provide support immediately and long term.
I love that because that's really what the call is as we follow Christ, right? And how much community is so important and how God knows that and understands that. And so you're coming alongside people who in that place need support and care and community. And so what got you involved with Rise Support Center?
So to answer that, I'm going to have to go back until when I was 17 and found out that I was pregnant. I really didn't have anyone that I trusted that I could talk to. And I just felt so scared and overwhelmed about, I didn't know what would happen next. Would I get kicked out of my house? Would my boyfriend leave? Would I be able to finish high school and make something of my life? Or would what society kind of says is true come true, and would I ruin my life and my child's life and my boyfriend's life? And in a moment of desperation, I just cried out to God and said, I can't do this. This is too much for me. If you lead me through this, I will follow. And if at some point in my life I could help someone else not feel so alone like I do right now, I'll do it. 17 years after that, I am married my husband. We had our beautiful daughter and then another daughter and a couple boys. I was running a home daycare, and it just ended up that I had Fridays off. And I called up my local pregnancy center, RISE, and I said, hey, how can I help? So I started as the volunteer lead of their Moms and Top program. We added one more boy to our family. And then a few years later, I was hired as client services director, and now I'm the executive director. And here we are.
I love that. What a beautiful picture of how there is always hope, and there is always, God is always working in our lives. So thank you for that. That was a story that was full of hope and encouraging, I hope, hopefully to some who are watching today. And so what do you think some of us don't realize about the reality of those women who maybe come to a crisis pregnancy center, and why is it important that we know these things?
Yeah, I think a common misconception is that everyone going to a pregnancy center is a young single teen. And in reality, unintended pregnancy can happen over a much broader spectrum. Our clients range in age from 14 to 47, and later, if they're part of our post-abortion program, they come from all cultural, religious, and socioeconomic backgrounds. And they're all facing something in their life that is making this difficult. So it can be pressures from a partner or parents or family, or just it's happening at the same time as difficult life circumstances, such as financial troubles, or we have a lot of clients who have survived abuse and are trying to rebuild their lives, and then they find out they're pregnant. And it's important that people know that this can happen to any woman when she's fertile. And it's, we just can come alongside and help them the best way that we can.
I love that. And you actually use, speaking of that, is you use a peer support model approach. Why that way of doing it? Like how has that really benefited those who come to Rise Support Center?
Yeah, we use a peer model of support primarily because it pairs someone who has been there and come through stronger with somebody just going through. So that can help build trust really quickly. It's also less intimidating than a formal counseling setting. So that also helps the client feel safer and like they're more equal on the journey. We also love that peer support really highlights the client's strengths and that they become an active participant in their journey from that time of crisis to one when they're thriving. We also love that we're able to offer support for free through this model. We have very well trained staff, and it just makes it accessible to everyone.
Yeah, I love this because it really shows the power of how our past doesn't define us, what we talked about at the beginning, but how our experiences can just help us to grow and to learn. And so when you see someone like yourself who says she's been there too, she understands, it brings such a greater support. So I love that. And thank you so much. We're going to continue this conversation talking about the ministry of Rise Support Center. So stay with us as we take a closer look at the emotional impact of unintended pregnancies and hear how Rise continues to offer ongoing support. So stay with us. Well, welcome back. I'm joined with Cheryl Lindquist from Rise Support Center, who's talking about the work and ministry that they're doing. Thanks again for being here. We've got a good background of what Rise Support Center is, but I think many of us may not realize the long-lasting impact that comes with the emotional impact, really, that comes with things like abortion or a miscarriage or just parenting struggles. We're both parents. We know what it can be like, especially in those early days. So how does Rise support clients in the long term, in the moment, but also, for the future?
Yeah, everyone kind of responds to those things differently. But for the most part, a lot of our clients really do need long term support. We've been very thoughtful and intentional about how we have decided on what programs to offer. We really wanted to make sure that no matter what happened next, that client can have a continuation of care. So we have programs that support early parenting, which includes prenatal and parenting education. We have mental wellness support. We have a lot of material assistance just to help offset some of those stresses that come from having an unintended baby. They are expensive. So we really are mindful to address those things that our clients need. And for our clients, we know some of them will experience a miscarriage or a stillbirth or unfortunately an infant loss. And because we've already built trust and rapport with them, we can just have that continuation of care and support them through their grief journey. And also, we know we have clients who have experienced an abortion, whether it is yesterday or years ago, and we are a safe landing spot for them to just come in, debrief their situation, talk about what happened so they can start to work towards healing. We can offer that one on one or in a more formal program for healing.
Yeah, and one of the ways that I got involved with Rise Support Center is that the church I was attending at the time supports you and your ministry there. And so I just saw such power that came from an impact that came from the church coming alongside Rise Support Center. So why is it important that churches and communities do get involved? And what's at risk if we don't?
I think it's really important for our churches to be part of that safety net in our community, to really create spaces, to have a culture of safety and grace for anyone, man or woman, who has been involved in an unintended pregnancy or abortion. I know from personal experience what it's like to experience the kindness of strong Christian women, and I also know what it feels like to be judged. And I think our churches are uniquely positioned to really just love on people and share the love of God with them. And it's so important to support your local pregnancy center because we're already doing the work. We are trained, we are well situated to help people in the best way. And if we're funded well, we can do a lot with a little.
Yeah, I love that. And I've seen that. I've seen that in even the connection from those who may be ready to take that next step in their faith journey as well. Maybe this was their experience coming to know Jesus was through Rise Support Center and then being able to get connected to a local church that is familiar with the center as well. So I think that's such a beautiful picture again of just what God calls us to. And so do you have any tips for maybe somebody who's watching, who maybe knows somebody, or maybe they themselves are walking through it, whatever it might be, but on how to have difficult conversations around an unintended pregnancy or even abortion?
Yeah, I think there are three things that are key: wisdom, compassion, and courage. Before we step into a conversation, we do need to know what we're talking about, and we need to also be willing to continually learn, and we need to be able to listen to other people. And we also need to step in with compassion because, according to Canadian statistics, 1 in 3 women will have an abortion experience in her life. So, the probability that you might be talking to somebody who has experienced unintended pregnancy or abortion or knows somebody who has is very high. And we want to just treat them how we would like to be treated, with compassion and gentleness. And then courage. Don't be afraid to talk about it. Just do it with wisdom and compassion. Invite thoughtful conversation. Talk about the challenges of pregnancy and parenting, but also talk about the joys and the wonder that come with it as well. So the generation coming up behind us can really see that children are a blessing from God and they don't have to be afraid.
I love that because it's true. We do, I think we can take those three into a lot of different, maybe difficult conversations, especially within the church that maybe there was a certain perspective on for a long time or whatever it might be. And so being able to be wise in those conversations, but like you said, courage, like having those conversations are so important because honestly, loneliness is probably one of the greatest struggles of those who maybe walk through something like this. So, without sharing exact details, just as we're closing here, do you have a quick story that you could share? Someone who's been impacted by Rise.
So a little bit's going to come from my own personal experience. I didn't have a pregnancy center, and now working with one, I can see how much support is available, and it's just beautiful. We have so many clients that are benefiting, and God gives us these little nuggets every day. Our clients sending a picture of their newborn or reaching a personal milestone that they didn't think they could reach, but they've done it with their child by their side. Or one of our post-abortion clients realizing that she is loved by our amazing God and healing is possible. So we see the power that comes through this ministry every day.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the work that you're doing through Rise. Thank you for sharing your story and being vulnerable with us today. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, for more information on Rise Support Center, you can go to 700club.ca.